Hello.
Good morning!
Oh my goodness. What are you doing? Oh really? What shirt are you wearing? Oh, the coolest shirt ever. Hey, Baba. Hey, Baba. We've just turned Bodhi's seat around. That's mine. Hey, there you go.
There you go.
Officially forward facing, Baba. Are you excited? Tell us how you feel. Nice. Tell us how you feel.
Hey.
Yeah.
Going up.
Day after the Check-It launch. Went really well. So all looking outside. And today we celebrate Uncle Paul's 50th. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Says I am the greatest player of them all. Puts a bet on the show.
Hello, buddy. Good morning. Oh, that's beautiful. Hi, Bodhi, who are you sitting with?
Bodhi.
Is it Poppy?
You're doing a poo.
Have one of you got an album of Paul photos?
I've just got a photo of those.
And you put your own. Yeah, it's dry.
Yeah.
It's a well-known brand.
Do you want to do this?
No, I'm actually okay now. Baba. Hi, Cross. Mwah. Ew. Mwah. 3 bowls of cereal and now for the song.
Feel bad for not having one.
What you doing?
Video calling Sandy.
Yeah, okay. Are you doing it now?
Is that on WhatsApp? Yes, it is.
Hi, Sandy.
Oh,
Who would like a champagne?
It's very quiet.
Hey.
Hello.
What are you doing, Taylor? Not fun
It's that red bottle.
Shut up, girl.
Alyssa, where are you?
I was going to say, there's a piano here.
We're waiting for Alyssa to play some music.
I'll just say a few words.
Okay.
I found a couple of notes. Yeah, I won't bore you for long. There's only 4 pages. Anyway, a lot of it we've covered anyway, so I won't really bother about that. But it's interesting that Paul was 25 years when he left us, and it's 25 years ago. And I found out his godparents were Leslie and Ross Stewart. I don't know whether Leslie remembers that. But growing up in Northern was a pretty idyllic life because we had a lot of wonderful neighbours, and when we bought 14 May Street and sold 12 May Street, we the Fletchers left, and of course the Pikes came in, and the kids used to come and go between the houses, and it was easy because they could spread around and have sleep-ins and things like that. When Paul had his life celebration, the chapel was packed with family and friends, and Paul, he had some funny quirks, as we've mentioned. One of them that we missed out on was that because they'd travel between the houses, he'd come home every morning, if he was away, to give Robin a cup of tea and a lemon juice. And then he'd go back to where he was staying. He and Jamie slept out in the, we've covered that, out in the sleep out, and he had a funny way of going to sleep, and of course we covered, he loved his tennis, and he was always a smash hitter, which used to worry me, because he'd go out there and he'd be bashing the ball. And of course in those days I used to let him win anyway, but it wasn't long before he could beat me whenever he wanted, and the same with Jamie, of course. Loved playing his golf. And I used to take he and Jamie out to have a game, mainly to give his mother a rest, or really an excuse for me to have a game. And Tammy reminded me about, if you're going to do something, then you must do it properly. I remember when Jamie and Tammy got their first house, he was there forever helping them move in and generally make the place livable. After his funeral, there were some great stories from his friends, and I really couldn't tell you much about them, but I remember he said I won't say. And he had his blow-up doll, and you know the old advertisement, as I said, introduced to the friends. Well, he did that, and he packed plenty into his relatively short life. He went to Northern Primary School, as to his siblings. He was a favourite of everyone. He went to Hale and boarded there. He was lucky that Jamie had paved the way. The boys were also lucky to have Uncle Neville and Auntie Leslie living reasonably close by. So he also had an older brother to look up to and help him out if needed. But he and Jamie loved school.
Jamie can say a few words about that. The letters she got from Jamie. Tell Mum and Dad to come
and his other school was Canning College, because when he did his TEE, I think it was called a TEE then, he didn't sort of make the grade, and so he went to Canning College just to catch up, to make sure he had the TEE. When he decided to make flying his career, he came home to Northern, and by this time we had moved to number 14 May, and we'd done a large renovation, so he had his own room, and flying aeroplanes was his love. In 1991 he learnt to fly in Bunbury at the Bunbury School of Flying run by Tommy Talbot. We knew Tommy because he was a balloonist as well as a flyer, and Jodie will remember going up ballooning while she played the bagpipes and Tommy was belting out a tune on his trumpet as we drifted over the farms around Northern and York. Do you remember that, Jade? Mm-hmm. So Paul did his 3-week course to get his restricted licence. He then came back to Northern, and under Jim Jenkins did his training for his unrestricted licence and received that flying that from the Royals instructor Mary Walton. He finished his commercial licence with Trudy Robbins and started flying at all different types of aircraft, his aim being to fly twin-engine aeroplanes. He then became a Grade 3 instructor at the National Aero Club, and from what I remember, he actually had 17 students that went solo, and 16 of them did their restricted and 6 of those went on and did their unrestricted. He received a diploma in aviation. His work also, he worked in the pharmacy and at Boulevard Photos because while he was training or teaching, there wasn't that much work coming through, so he subsidised his income by working for us. Paulie taught Jamie to fly in the Victor, and Jamie went on to fly in the C-50 and the C-172. Jamie passed his licence with Paul in 1995. I don't know whether Jamie did aerobatics, but Paul taught aerobatics.
Yeah, I did aerobatics.
Yeah, he did loops and aileron, barrel rolls, stall turns, and so on. I think so. Paul at the time was the chief flying instructor in Northern under the Royal Aero Club of WA. Jamie actually flew 86 hours, and Trudy Robbins, who was part of the Aero Club, but she also had her own business, also took Paul under her wings, and he managed to get a few flying experiences with her, particularly in a twin engine plane, which I don't think he was supposed to fly, apparently. Anyway, he got some hours up. He also worked for Northern Air Services, ferrying planes after maintenance. So a lot of the planes were done in Northern, and then they went up to the stations and things like that, so he'd take them back. But on one occasion he had an incident where he was over the Hamersley Ranges in the Pilbara, and he had an engine failure. This was in 1996 in a C-150, and what had happened, the sump plug had come out and the cowling was full of oil. We received a message that he'd gone in the Hamersley Ranges. Well, having been through that area recently, I think we were caravanning there at the time when we went away, and I remember, because I must have been flying at the time, but I must have thought to myself, where in the hell would you land here, going through all those ranges? Well, he picked out one spot, the only spot that was available, and we subsequently received a phone call from the nearby station to say he'd been found. Silly boy set up camp under the wing for the night. He thought he'd seen a large spider in the plane and wasn't going to sleep inside, unaware of the ants and snakes that snoop around at night time. He also worked for Air Walkabout Tours, taking a doctor up north, and then finally his big job was Tesla, funnily enough that name, Tesla Airborne Geoscience, which was a Perth-based company doing aerial surveying for mining companies in Queensland. He also learnt the computer program, and one of the interesting things he said that because he could operate the computer, he could go up with the other pilot and get his hours as well as the ones when he was flying the plane. Because he was in the plane, he was getting the hours. So if they took 3 or 4 hours flying, he'd get that. But only because he was doing a job aboard the plane. In the year 2000, the Northern Aero Club dedicated a library in Paul's name, initiated by Claude, and a way to preserve old flying books and memorability. Paul was part of the Organ Donation Australia, or Donate Life in Queensland, and he helped 4 recipients, of which Robin corresponded with 2 of them. It wasn't supposed to, but they corresponded back, which was rather nice, and we really don't know what happened to the other 2. But the 2 that she corresponded with died eventually after 24 years. Yep, and I think that's about it. So he had an amazing life, really.
That's good, yeah.
Right.
Well, we'll cut this cake.
Is Alyssa playing Happy Birthday on the piano?
Yeah, oh yeah. Can you do that? Oh my God.
Where's the...
And she. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Paul. Happy birthday to you. Hooray! Hip, hooray! Hip, hooray!
Why? Why was?
What's the cake?
Custard and cream.
Yeah, tortoise.
Plum cake and...
You didn't touch the bowl.
Okay, well done. And
Yeah.
maybe we'll do a toast to Paul.
Yep.
Here's to Paul for his 50th. Could have been birthday.
Happy 50th.
And hopefully you'll carry on for the 60th. I might be here.
I mean, just moving Tammy's pictures. So
Yeah, it does. It does lock one's head in.
Birthday cake?
Sugar all over that cake.
Yeah.
No, Dad was the one that gave me the
Is it like have a later?
Russell was in the
No.
and he put some